Good morning, it's Olive here today again from the Free Church Frinton with our thought for the day. Do you know, in olden days when I was young, Sunday school didn't take place during the morning service. Oh no, it was held at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, supposedly so that all the Sunday school staff could join in morning worship. Or thinking about it, perhaps it was so that mums and dads could send us kids off and then have a quiet hour after Sunday lunch. Whatever the reason, I'm grateful that I was sent and so was introduced to many exciting accounts in the Bible. Moses being found in a basket on the river, hearing God speaking to him through a burning bush, leading a vast company of people through the Red Sea, of how a shepherd boy, David, killed a giant with just a stone and a sling and finally became the great king of Israel, of Jonah being swallowed by a fish, Daniel being thrown into the lion's den, Esther becoming queen and saving her people. On hearing these stories and many more, we perhaps felt that the lives of those who honoured and trusted God enjoyed a life of one long adventure being run at a mile a minute. But I don't remember being told, though I could be wrong, how uncertain they sometimes felt about the challenges they faced. Like when Moses made lots of excuses as to why he wouldn't be any good for the task that God was calling him to do, and then finally coming out with the plea, please send someone else. We know that God didn't and faithfully guided him through all the trials along the way. And as we read of other people in the Bible, both in the Old and New Testament, God was always faithful in seeing them through. Hearing the accounts of the lives of these giants of faith and other famous Christians through the ages, such as William Wilberforce, Isaac Watts, Isaac Newton, William Tyndale, Charles Haddon Spurgeon, Billy Graham and many others, we can be led into thinking that one has to be seen to be doing great things to be useful in God's service. Certainly not for the likes of you and me, assuming you're not famous, of course. But looking further, I see from God's word that this isn't the case. We may not all be called to be at the front projecting challenging sermons or in the limelight leading some great work, but God can use everyone just where we're placed. I think of people mentioned in the Bible who were just going about their daily routine and we don't even know their names, and yet God used them and is still using them today to speak to us. There was the widow at Zarephath who was just about to cook the last meal for her and her son before facing starvation, but who obeyed Elijah's request by first making him a small loaf from the meagre amount of oil and flour she had left, and only then attending to her sons and her needs. We read how God cared for her by keeping the flour and oil jars sufficiently filled until the famine was ended, and how Elijah was also catered for. How different the outcome could have been had she said no. Then there was the young lad who gave his small lunch of 5 loaves and 2 fish, which resulted in the feeding of the 5,000 plus. Or the widow that Jesus drew his disciples' attention to as she was putting a small amount into the treasury. Small maybe in the eyes of those around, but Jesus pointed out what a great sacrifice it was to her. He saw and he knew. The slave girl that waited on Naaman's wife, who was able to point that great leader in the direction of the prophet Elisha, who under the guidance of God gave him the instruction that brought about his healing of the dreaded leprosy. As I said before, we don't know the names of any of these people, but they were all used by God to work for him. Their part was to be willing to be used and give what they had, goods, money and knowledge. With this in mind, who knows what opportunities God will be putting in our way today? It may appear to be something small and insignificant, or a word or an act of kindness, but it could be just what is needed to bear great fruit in due time. We used to sing an old hymn, "There's a work for Jesus ready at your hand. 'Tis a work the Master just for you has planned. Haste to do his bidding, yield him service true. There's a work for Jesus none but you can do." Words that I once saw on a decorated stone read, "Bloom where you are planted." So wherever God may place you and me today, let's be encouraged, give willingly, and leave the rest to God. God bless you all and have a good day. Bye.